My name is Olivia Bennett and I'm 31 years old. Seattle mornings can be brutal when the rain pounds against your windows like nature's own drumbeat. This morning, droplets streaked down the glass of my home office, creating watery patterns that blurred the evergreen trees outside. Inside my comfortable house in the suburbs, I sat at my dual-monitor setup, surrounded by the tech equipment I'd collected over the years. Everything was efficient, cutting-edge, and peaceful, exactly how I needed it to be. I took a slow sip from my favorite black coffee mug, feeling the caffeine kick in as I reviewed the code on my screens. Today was going to be intense, 3 client meetings, and a major system deployment. Being a senior systems engineer at one of the region's top tech firms came with constant deadlines. My colleagues valued my problem-solving skills, especially when servers crashed at midnight. What they didn't realize, however, was that my real achievements went far beyond debugging applications. The neighborhood outside was getting soaked by the steady Pacific Northwest drizzle. The streets, the parked cars, the maple trees, everything glistened with that familiar Seattle shine. For a moment I let myself watch the rain before my phone buzzed insistently on my desk, yanking me back to the present. I glanced at the notification. Family group chat, 3 new messages from Patricia Bennett, my mom. My shoulders tensed immediately, knowing exactly what this would be about. Taking a deep breath, I opened the messages. Good morning, girls. Don't forget about tonight. Chloe's pre-wedding party at the Fairmont, 7 p.m. sharp. Olivia, please dress nicely for once. This is important for our family image. I rubbed my temples, feeling that familiar knot forming in my stomach. Of course I hadn't forgotten about my younger sister Chloe's engagement celebration at the luxury hotel downtown. I'd been dreading it for weeks. I typed back quickly, I'll be there, Mom. As I set my phone aside, my eyes drifted to the framed photograph on my bookshelf. It showed my dad and me at his lab, both of us grinning over a prototype circuit board. He'd been gone for nearly 8 years, but his innovations, his dreams, and most importantly his hidden legacy still lived within me. A legacy my mom and Chloe had no idea existed. A legacy that would soon change everything they thought they knew about me. After wrapping up my final code review, I pushed back from my desk and stared out at the drizzle coating my window. My concentration had completely shifted away from debugging, all I could think about was tonight's hotel party and the family drama that would inevitably unfold. I stood up and headed toward my bedroom closet. Time to find something that would satisfy my mom's idea of appropriate for our family image. Pushing past my collection of comfortable hoodies and professional blazers, I pulled out a sleek emerald green dress I'd ordered online months ago but never had occasion to wear. It was sophisticated but not flashy, perfectly me. Hopefully it would pass my mom's relentless inspection. I laid the dress across my bed and went to the bathroom to get ready. As I splashed cool water on my face, my phone rang from the bedroom. It was Marcus Chan, my fiancé. I dried my hands quickly and picked up. Hey, Marcus, I said, my voice immediately relaxing for the first time all day. Hey, gorgeous, he replied, his tone warm and reassuring. Just wanted to check how you're holding up before tonight. I caught my reflection in the mirror and sighed. Honestly? I'm anxious. You know how Mom and Chloe get, they'll find something to criticize. My appearance, my job, and our relationship. The usual routine. Marcus laughed gently. Let them talk. You're amazing, Olivia. They're just too caught up in their own drama to recognize it. I felt some of the tension leave my shoulders. His voice always had that effect, like a steady anchor when everything else felt chaotic. Thanks, I needed to hear that. Plus, he added with a playful edge, after we get through tonight, we can focus on our own plans. Our startup, our wedding, I'm excited to build something real with you. Me too, I whispered, feeling emotion tighten my throat. I'll let you finish getting ready, he said. Text me if you need anything. I love you. I love you too. I ended the call feeling more centered. With Marcus supporting me, even from across town, I could handle whatever my family threw at me tonight. I pulled myself together and got dressed. The green dress fit beautifully, elegant but not ostentatious. I swept my hair into a simple updo and added small silver earrings. No designer accessories, no over-the-top glamour. That had never been my style. By the time I was ready, the rain had intensified into a steady Seattle downpour. I grabbed my jacket, slung my purse over my shoulder, and headed out into the wet evening. As I drove toward downtown, I repeated my mantra, stay composed, stay confident, whatever happens tonight. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel rose majestically against the Seattle skyline, its lobby windows glowing with warm amber light. It looked elegant and inviting from the street, but I knew better. Tonight, the real storm wouldn't be the rain outside, it would be waiting for me in that luxurious suite upstairs. The hotel's grand entrance featured marble columns and tasteful holiday decorations. I paused in the revolving door, taking a steadying breath before stepping into the opulent lobby. The warmth and soft jazz music enveloped me immediately. Everything was pristine, gleaming floors, fresh flowers, and guests dressed in their finest evening wear. I took the elevator to the penthouse level where Chloe had reserved a private suite. Through the open double doors, I could see them immediately. My mom Patricia and my sister Chloe were positioned near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Both looked flawless, as always. Mom's critical gaze found me the moment I entered. She scanned me from head to toe, her expression giving nothing away. Chloe was practically vibrating with excitement, stunning in a rose gold cocktail dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I walked toward them, my heels silent on the thick carpet, each step deliberate and measured. "You're late," my mom said before I could even reach them. "It's 7:03, I replied calmly, settling into a nearby chair. 3 minutes isn't really late. Mom's lips pursed with disapproval. "You could have chosen something more festive. That dress is so plain, this is Chloe's celebration, Olivia, not a work conference." I simply nodded and placed my purse beside me. I wasn't here to start an argument, not yet. Chloe bounced forward eagerly. "Did you see? Blake's parents are flying in from New York tomorrow. His dad just closed a massive deal on Wall Street. They're talking about giving us a penthouse as a wedding gift," she gushed, her voice practically glittering with excitement. "That's incredible, Chloe. I'm really happy for you," I said genuinely, though the familiar sting of comparison was hard to ignore. Chloe had always been the favorite, the shining star, and tonight she was holding court like royalty. Before I could even ask for a drink, my mom's voice cut through the air again. "You're engaged too, aren't you?" Mom asked with barely concealed disdain. "What exactly does your boyfriend do again?" "Some little tech startup, right?" I kept my voice level. "Marcus is the founder of NextGen Analytics," I said, knowing she'd already dismissed him years ago. She'd decided long ago that he wasn't successful enough. "Never heard of it," Chloe said with an airy wave, reaching for her champagne flute. "But Blake's firm just got written up in the Wall Street Journal. Isn't that amazing?" "Yes," I said quietly, my grip tightening slightly on my water glass. "That's really impressive." The conversation swirled around me like a whirlpool, every comment, every glance, every condescending smile designed to remind me of my supposed place. The overlooked one, the boring one, the one who never quite lived up to their expectations. But what they had no idea about was that tonight they were about to discover a truth that would completely upend everything they thought they knew. They just couldn't see it coming, not yet. By the time the Sterling family, Chloe's soon-to-be in-laws, arrived at the hotel suite, the atmosphere had already grown thick with barely contained tension. Blake Sterling looked exactly as Chloe had described him, tall, stylish dressed, radiating Wall Street confidence. His parents Kenneth and Amanda Sterling commanded attention the moment they entered. Amanda wore an elegant black designer suit, and Kenneth moved with the practiced authority of someone accustomed to billion-dollar deals. Chloe practically launched herself across the room to greet them. "Blake. You made it," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around him dramatically. Mom rose gracefully, her smile rehearsed to perfection. "This is my older daughter Olivia," Chloe mentioned casually, as if I were merely part of the furniture. I stood and extended my hand professionally. "It's wonderful to meet you both." Kenneth shook my hand with a firm grip. "What's your profession, Olivia?" he asked with genuine curiosity. Before I could respond, my mom interrupted smoothly. "Oh, she does some computer work, nothing too exciting." Heat flushed through my cheeks, but I maintained my composure. This wasn't the moment, not yet. I simply smiled and redirected. This suite has an incredible view of the city, doesn't it? A hotel staff member appeared with a tray of champagne. Kenneth raised his glass toward Chloe and Blake. To a future filled with happiness and prosperity. Everyone clinked glasses with warm smiles. I participated silently, hoping the evening might remain peaceful. I should have known better. As appetizers were served, the conversation turned to wedding preparations. Chloe, glowing with anticipation, described every extravagant detail: the waterfront venue, the 300-person guest list, the celebrity wedding planner, and the live orchestra. "We're creating something absolutely breathtaking," Mom added with obvious pride. "Of course, we'll contribute everything we possibly can." Amanda nodded approvingly. "We're delighted to help make this day special. It's important for both families. It's going to be the most incredible wedding Seattle has ever seen," Chloe gushed, practically vibrating with excitement. I offered a supportive smile and sipped my champagne quietly, letting their enthusiasm wash over me. What I felt wasn't jealousy, it was something deeper and more painful. The slow realization that no matter what I accomplished, I would never measure up to their standards unless it came with flashy displays and social media buzz. But I remained quiet, because tonight wasn't supposed to be about me, at least not yet. By the time the main course was served, perfectly prepared salmon with truffle risotto, the evening's polished facade was beginning to crack. Mom had finished her third glass of wine, and her voice carried a sharper, more aggressive tone. I noticed Kenneth and Amanda exchanging concerned glances. Blake kept his eyes focused on his plate, occasionally squeezing Chloe's hand when she grew too animated. I sat quietly, carefully eating my dinner, hoping to make it through the night without becoming a target. That hope was short-lived. "So Olivia," Mom announced suddenly, her voice cutting through the conversation, "I heard through the grapevine that you received some kind of promotion at work." I set down my fork slowly. "That's correct," I said cautiously. "Some additional responsibilities." Mom's smile turned calculating. "And I'm sure that came with a nice salary increase?" The entire table fell silent. I could feel everyone's attention, the Sterlings, Chloe, even Blake, focusing on me. "This really isn't appropriate dinner conversation," I said gently. "Why not?" Mom said, gesturing broadly with her wine glass. "We're all family here, aren't we?" Chloe smirked behind her champagne flute. The tension in the room grew suffocating. I could sense the hotel staff glancing nervously from their service station. Mom leaned forward, her wine glass glinting in the chandelier light. "Chloe's wedding is going to be a magnificent event. It's only right that everyone in the family contributes generously." Here it was, the moment I'd been dreading. I placed my fork down completely, keeping my voice steady. "Of course we all want Chloe's wedding to be beautiful." Mom nodded emphatically. "Exactly. Which is why," she said, her voice rising dangerously, "I believe it's only fair that you, Olivia, contribute $100,000 toward the wedding and their new home." The words hit the table like a thunderbolt. $100,000. The Sterlings visibly recoiled. Blake's face went pale. Amanda's eyes widened in shock. Even Chloe looked momentarily uncomfortable, though not enough to object. I sat motionless for a long moment, stunned not by the amount but by the sheer audacity in my mom's voice, as if my worth as a person was measured solely by my ability to bankroll their dreams. Slowly, I reached for my water glass, took a measured sip, and set it back down. Then I looked directly into Mom's expectant, demanding eyes. "I'm sorry, Mom," I said clearly, "but that's absolutely not happening." Complete silence. The kind of silence that seems to drain all oxygen from the room. Mom's expression turned icy. Chloe let out a small gasp of indignation. "You ungrateful little," Mom began, starting to push back from the table. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that everything was about to explode. Mom shoved her chair back violently, the metal legs scraping against the marble floor of the hotel suite. Every conversation in the room stopped instantly. Even the soft jazz music from the sound system seemed to fade into nothing. "You sit there in your designer dress, sipping champagne in a penthouse suite, and you can't even help your sister?" Mom's voice rang out, harsh and cutting. Mom, please, I said quietly, trying to preserve what little dignity remained. This isn't appropriate, especially not here. Like hell it isn't, she snapped back, her face flushed crimson from wine and fury. You've always been selfish, Olivia, always hiding in your little tech bubble, never contributing to this family unless it benefits you. I heard someone draw in a sharp breath, maybe Amanda, possibly even Chloe, but nobody moved to intervene. The entire suite felt frozen, as if everyone was holding their breath. Then it escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. Before I could process what was happening, Mom stormed around the coffee table, her heels clicking aggressively against the polished floor. She positioned herself directly in front of me. For one fleeting moment, I thought she might regain her composure, that maternal instinct might kick in. Instead, she pulled out her phone and opened Instagram Live. Let me show everyone what kind of daughter I raised, she announced to her phone screen. The notification, Patricia B. Lifestyle, went live, popped up as viewers began joining. My stomach dropped as I realized what was happening. This is my older daughter Olivia, Mom said to her growing audience, pointing the camera at me. She makes good money in tech, but look how she treats her family. Comments started flooding the screen, what's happening? Family drama. This is messy. Chloe, instead of stopping this nightmare, actually moved closer to get in frame. Hi everyone. It's Chloe, she waved at the camera. My sister won't even help pay for my wedding, can you believe it? The live viewer count was climbing rapidly. My face burned with humiliation as strangers watched this private moment become public entertainment. $100,000. Mom shouted at the phone. That's all we asked for. But she's too selfish to help her sister. The comments exploded, wow, she's horrible. Help your family. What a terrible sister. Kenneth Sterling finally stood up, his face dark with anger. This is completely inappropriate, he said firmly. But Mom was beyond reason now. She turned the camera back to me, and I could see my own shocked, pale face reflected in dozens of strangers' comments. Look at her. Mom yelled. Silent and selfish, just like always. Something deep inside me, something that had been pushed down and ignored for too many years, finally reached its breaking point. I stood slowly, my hand steady despite the chaos around me. Then, with deliberate calm, I walked toward the suite's entrance. At that exact moment, as if the universe had been waiting for this precise instant, the door opened. Marcus walked in, followed by an elegant woman in a tailored navy blazer. It was Helen Chan, Marcus's mother and one of the most successful venture capitalists on the West Coast. Marcus's eyes immediately found mine, then shifted to Mom's phone still streaming live. His expression hardened when he saw the tears I was fighting back. He crossed the room in 3 quick strides, placing himself protectively between me and the camera. Turn that off. Now, he said, his voice like steel. Helen stepped forward with the quiet authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms and billion-dollar decisions. I'm Helen Chen, she announced to the stunned room, her voice cutting through the chaos with surgical precision. Marcus's mother, and I believe we need to have a serious conversation about exactly who Olivia Bennett really is. Mom's phone was still streaming, but her confident smirk was starting to waver. Helen looked directly into the camera, addressing the hundreds of viewers. Before this family continues to humiliate themselves publicly, Helen said clearly. Perhaps they should know that Olivia Bennett holds 17 AI technology patents and is the sole heir to Neuralink Solutions, a company currently valued at $2.8 billion. The suite went completely silent except for the sound of notification pings from Mom's phone. Mom's face went chalk white. Chloe's mouth fell open in shock. Even Blake looked stunned. The Instagram Live comments exploded, what? She's a billionaire. This family is insane. That's impossible, Mom whispered, her voice shaking. Neuralink it's one of the biggest AI companies in the world. Yes, Helen said calmly, and her father prepared her for years to run it. Not you. Not Chloe. Only Olivia. I finally found my voice, speaking directly to the phone camera and its growing audience. I never wanted to lead with my wealth, I said clearly. I wanted to see if my family could love me for who I am, not what I could give them. The live viewer count had reached over 10,000 people. Comments were flying past faster than anyone could read them. "You've spent years judging me for being boring and unsuccessful," I continued, my voice growing stronger, "when I was actually building something that will change the world." Mom's hand holding the phone began to tremble violently. The Instagram live chat had turned completely against her. "You just lost a billionaire daughter. Worst mother ever. This is so embarrassing." I didn't know," Mom whispered, but her words were lost in the digital chaos she had created. "No," I said quietly, looking directly into the camera. "You never bothered to ask." The silence in the hotel suite stretched endlessly, broken only by the soft pinging of notifications from my mom's phone as the Instagram live continued. Chloe sat motionless, her hands trembling in her lap. Blake stared at her with an expression that looked very much like disgust. Amanda Sterling was the first to break the awful quiet. She turned toward me, her voice gentle but resolute. "Olivia, it's truly an honor to know who you really are. You don't owe anyone here a single explanation." Her words, filled with authentic respect, felt like cool water on the burning humiliation in my chest. Kenneth Sterling nodded firmly. "You're exactly the kind of person we'd be privileged to have in our family," he said, shooting a meaningful look at Chloe, who seemed to shrink under his gaze. My mom finally found her voice, though it came out cracked and small. "I'm so sorry," she said, looking up at me with eyes full of tears. "I was horrible to you. My jealousy and stupidity blinded me completely." She reached toward me as if to touch my arm, but I stepped back, not harshly, but definitively. "I can forgive you, Mom," I said quietly, "but forgiveness doesn't undo what just happened, or the years of damage before tonight." Mom's outstretched hand fell limply to her side. Her shoulders collapsed under the crushing weight of her own actions. Chloe finally spoke, her voice barely audible. "Olivia, I had no idea. I never realized you were accomplishing something so amazing." I looked at her, my once golden, once untouchable sister, now a young woman whose illusions had shattered completely. For the first time in years, I saw not my competitor, but simply a confused girl who had lost her way. "You never asked," I said gently. "You only criticized." Chloe's eyes filled with tears that looked genuinely remorseful. Blake reached over and quietly took her hand, but there was something distant in his gesture, a subtle warning that their relationship would need serious rebuilding if it had any chance of survival. Marcus squeezed my shoulder, solid and reassuring as always. I turned to him, grateful that while some bonds crumble under pressure, others prove their strength. "I think it's time we left," Marcus whispered in my ear. I nodded gratefully. Facing the room one final time, I made my position clear. "I won't be contributing $100,000 to Chloe's wedding," I said calmly, "but I genuinely wish you both, Chloe and Blake, a future built on honest love and mutual respect." I could see Chloe's composure finally crack, but she managed a small nod of acceptance. "And Mom," I added, my voice soft but uncompromising, "if you want any relationship with me going forward, it will need to be founded on respect, not manipulation, not money, not unrealistic expectations." Mom covered her face with her hands, sobbing quietly as her Instagram live audience watched her complete breakdown. Without another word, I walked toward the door with Marcus's protective arm around me, leaving behind the luxury suite and stepping into the cool Seattle evening. Rain was still falling steadily, washing the city clean. But inside me, a tremendous burden had finally lifted, a weight I'd been carrying for far too many years. For the first time in my entire life, I felt genuinely free. 1 year later, everything had transformed beyond recognition. The harsh Seattle winter had given way to a glorious spring, and with it, the bitterness I'd carried in my heart had dissolved into something much healthier. On a perfect Saturday morning in a small, light-filled chapel overlooking Puget Sound, I stood hand in hand with Marcus, the man who had truly seen me, supported me, and loved me when others only saw someone to exploit. I wore an elegant cream-colored dress with subtle beading, nothing flashy, nothing over the top, just something authentic that felt completely like me. Marcus looked incredibly handsome in a charcoal gray suit, his smile confident and warm. The chapel's wooden pews held the people who genuinely mattered, colleagues who had become close friends, mentors who had guided my journey, and yes, even my mom and sister. Mom sat quietly in the third row, her hands folded respectfully. There were still hints of regret in her expression, but something else had emerged, something I'd never seen before, genuine respect. Next to her, Chloe wiped happy tears from her eyes, her face glowing with what appeared to be authentic joy for my happiness. I met their gaze and offered a sincere smile. Not every broken relationship can be perfectly restored, but sometimes damaged things can be rebuilt into something even stronger. The minister's voice resonated beautifully through the intimate chapel as he blessed our commitment. When Marcus slipped the ring onto my finger, I felt years of pain and doubt finally release, replaced by something bright, hopeful, and completely pure. After the ceremony concluded, we walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, stepping into a future we had created ourselves. Not through wealth, not through pretense, but through genuine love, unwavering trust, and absolute honesty. Outside the chapel, cherry trees were blooming with delicate pink flowers. The soft petals danced in the spring breeze, nature's gentle reminder that fresh starts are always possible. At the intimate reception afterward, while guests enjoyed carefully prepared local cuisine under twinkling string lights, Mom approached me hesitantly, nervously adjusting her necklace. "Olivia," she said, her voice shaking slightly, "I don't deserve your grace, but I'm deeply grateful you allowed me to be here today." I studied her carefully, really examined her, and for the first time ever, I didn't see the critical, demanding mother who had dominated my childhood. I saw a woman genuinely trying to change, awkwardly and belatedly, but sincerely trying. I placed my hand softly over hers. "We can't rewrite our history," I said, "but we get to choose what happens next." Fresh tears filled her eyes, but these were different, cleaner, more hopeful. Chloe appeared beside us, linking her arm gently through mine. "I enrolled in computer science classes last semester," she said quietly. "I want to build my own company legitimately. I want to actually earn my success." I couldn't suppress my genuine smile. "That's incredible, Chloe. I'm really proud of you." "It's because of your example," she whispered. For the first time in years, I actually believed her. 1 week later, I found myself in a completely different kind of spotlight, this time not in a chapel, but at the sleek headquarters of Neuralink Solutions in downtown Seattle. My dad's vision, and now officially my responsibility. The modern auditorium was packed with tech executives, investors, and employees. Camera flashes flickered like digital fireflies as I approached the podium. The elegant nameplate before me read, "Olivia Bennett, Chief Executive Officer." For a moment, I closed my eyes and absorbed the full weight of this moment, not as a burden, but as an incredible honor. I thought of my dad, our late-night conversations about artificial intelligence when I was still in college, the encrypted files he had left for me, the way he had nurtured my potential when everyone else saw only an ordinary daughter. I thought of Marcus, beaming with pride in the front row, standing by me through every challenge. I even thought of my mom and Chloe, seated respectfully in the middle section, transformed and humbled by the truth that had demolished our dysfunctional patterns and rebuilt something genuine in their place. Drawing a steady breath, I began my address. "Good morning, everyone," I said, my voice clear and confident. "I stand before you today not because of my surname and not because of inherited privilege. I'm here because of dedication, innovation, and a conviction that true leadership isn't given, it's earned." Approving nods rippled through the audience. "My father once told me," I continued, "that genuine success isn't measured by how much wealth you accumulate, but by how much positive impact you create. That principle will guide everything we do at Neuralink." When I concluded, the auditorium burst into enthusiastic, authentic applause, no manufactured politeness, no obligatory gestures, just genuine respect and excitement. Later that evening, Marcus and I strolled hand in hand through Pike Place Market, the Seattle skyline twinkling around us like earthbound constellations. He squeezed my hand gently. "You absolutely crushed it," he said with obvious admiration. "We crushed it," I corrected, smiling warmly. We paused at the waterfront railing overlooking Elliott Bay, the same city where I had once felt so overlooked, and now I stood completely confident in my own skin. I gazed up at the stars and spoke softly, almost to the universe itself. True family isn't about financial obligation. Respect isn't something you can demand, it has to be earned. And authentic love, real love, is never about what you can provide. Marcus leaned over and kissed my temple tenderly. As we stood there together, the cool Pacific breeze surrounding us like a promise that sometimes, after the most difficult storms, new chapters unfold stronger, brighter, and more beautiful than anything you ever thought possible.